One. Hello, everyone. In this video, I'm fortunate enough to chat with the director, actress, and writer behind the upcoming Galway Film Fleadh short film Quicksand. It's the amazing Pollyanna MacIntosh and Siobhan Callaghan. The short film premieres this Saturday, the 15th of July, at the amazing Galway Film Fleadh, the premier film festival of Ireland, which hosts short films, talks, and world premieres. A link for the Galway Film Fleadh can be found in the link in the description. Thank you both so much for taking the time to come on. How are you doing today?
Pleasure. Happy as Larry.
There you go. We were having some very great chats before we begin recording. We were talking about shooting seagulls out in Hout. So, nothing the audience would miss. But I mean, I don't even know where to begin. First things first, where did Quicksand come from? What was the culmination of this project? How did it even start?
That's a question for Siobhan.
Yeah, to be honest, like I've thought about this because I thought, no, probably somebody's going to ask me this at some point, and I kind of had this idea, this like monologue popped into my head about this garden of holes, and this little kid dig holes, and that made me think about escapism and like people trying to escape their lives, and then the filling of holes kind of turned into something else, and then I got interested in the idea of sex addiction. So it kind of flowed out of me then quite naturally. I think I wrote the first draft in like a day, and then it obviously had been tweaked a lot by the time we shot it, but once I had the idea, I was just watching films about it and books and stuff, and I noticed that there was a alarmingly low amount of TV and film about female sex addicts. There's a lot about male ones, and it's such a taboo subject. So I just kind of went with it. So yeah, that's really where it was. It's nothing. It wasn't dropped into my head by an angel or anything,
You were out in Hout and you were looking at the seagulls and you were like, I have to get out of this place. I have to think of some story to do. I imagine that was how the culmination for it. And Pollyanna, we were talking a little bit about how did you come onto the project? What was it about the project that appealed to you as a director?
Yeah, I think as a director, visually, it was so well written for cinema. And there was this extraordinary character at the center of it who was very vulnerable and could be quite unlikable in the behavior that she's exhibiting and the pain that she's causing. But essentially, it's self-harm, So I saw this rawness, and in knowing Siobhan, she and I were doing Vikings Valhalla for Netflix together. We were both acting in that, and I'd be around her house in Dunleary helping her with auditions sometimes, just being the other side of the camera, And I saw what a great actress she was, and then I read the script and I thought, this is just fantastic. And it was the first thing that had inspired me to want to direct something that I hadn't written. So that was a new form for me. Yeah. And it was one of those things that just really got rolling, The characters are so well drawn and there's such a great diversity within the kind of roles that are in the script. And amazingly, between us, we just had all these friends who we thought they'd be perfect. And it became a real family affair, And once we had Eleanor Bowman on, who's an IFTA winning DP and a wonderful person to work with, like she and I got on a Zoom together. She'd been put in touch with me through our producers at Carbonated Comet, Ronan and Greg. And as soon as Eleanor and I were on screen together, we just started laughing. Like there was that connection,
Yeah.
In order to make a film work, especially on indie timing, you've really got to be collaborative and tight, crew and cast. And we had all the pieces in place. So we just had a really good time and put Siobhan through the absolute works. But she really shone. So it was great. I really saw in her somebody who should be seen more and should be working more. And an actor is never happy unless they're committed in a role, Otherwise, we need to be committed in a mental institution. I know.
Well, you're an actress yourself, so if anyone knows what they're talking about, it's you. So if anyone should take away anything, it's that you should all be committed to a mental institution.
We should all. Unless we've got a project to get our teeth into, we're not much use to the world. So we need to. So this was a way for us to be doing our thing.
I could tell you were an optimist when you joined the meeting, and you're only reinforcing that for me. No, I mean you brought up so many terrific points there, but I mean when you talk about a film about female sex addiction, which is something that isn't depicted in media. I mean, I can think of Steve McQueen's, and I know you mentioned this in your Steve McQueen and Michael Fassbender. I think it's called Shame. That was the film. Yeah. I mean, when you say a film like that, but then again, that's from the male perspective. So when something like this, where there's a lot of untapped potential, something that hasn't been explored visually, did you feel, was there a freedom or a pressure attached because it is such a serious thing? It's such a real thing. Did you feel like, okay, we have to get this right. We have to depict this in a respectful way? Or what was that process like?
That's a really interesting point. I think Shiv had done quite a lot of research and first person stuff, hadn't you?
Yeah, definitely. And I think what was really important about it was actually just getting the humanity of the person and the relationships that that person has with other people. So like I would always say that the heartbeat of this whole story is actually Nola and Sal, the couple in it, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that that was really important to give a lot of time to and a lot of respect to, because after that, like, I mean, you know, any addict is just a person, and actually what was important was removing the idea of them just being an addict to really give space to the fact that these people are people, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stuff that they're trying to protect is always going to fall apart unless they're able to get better. And I think that was the main thing I wanted to focus in on.
Yeah. I think for me, you know, my sense of addiction and those issues are all trauma informed. And Shiv had written a character who you could feel the trauma of, you know, and you could see it in their behavior, and you could see it in them trying to numb out. And I think that's something everyone can relate to. Now, there may well be addicts out there watching the film going, oh, I don't believe that, I don't buy that. But then there'd be others who'd say, well, that's my story, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's hard. It's given a blanket concept, addiction, of just being like, well, somebody's damaged, all right, but they need to stop, you know. And you see Sally trying to survive, but she's nowhere near the thriving point because she can't stop. And you start seeing the cracks in what's causing that. And I think, like Shiv says, that humanity is what really drove the piece. And as long as people come away with the nuanced perspective and the complexity about their feelings about Sally and what she's going through, then I think we've done our job, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's such a huge part of it. And to me, I feel like it's a character study. If anything, you know, you
Yeah.
stick with this character. And like some of my favorite films, I think like Raging Bull, you know, Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese's Raging Bull. That's a film that I mean people go for the boxing, but at the end of the day, at the end of the film, you're trapped in a room with this character and he is nothing. We followed him throughout the film. He is completely self-destructive and shown that he's a blubbering mess by the end of the film. And I feel like this film is also a character study, and it's someone who's not necessarily a good person, but we still empathize with them because we've been with them on this journey. What was it like for you both to toe that line between is this character good or bad, and how did you want the audience to feel about the journey that she went on?
Well, I guess for me, playing the part, what was important was to not say that this character was good or bad, you know, because she's everything. I think she feels like she's bad, but to play her, I couldn't, like, I never thought of her as good or bad, is what I'm trying to say, you know. Yeah, so I think that was important for me to just put that at the forefront, that, like, again, she's a human, she's complex, and that exists in her in every way. And her struggle to kind of get out of this space of being ashamed of herself and, you know, looking towards the light and then constantly being pulled back into the dark. Yeah.
I think that thing of motivation and what you're trying to achieve rather than what you're held back in is so important in acting, you know, in being, is because you're trying to move forward and manipulate and change things and, you know, get ahead. And I think her feelings of being bad are what's driving her, and that's what she's trying to escape from. Just going back to a point you made, Daniel, about, like, was there any pressure for it being such a serious subject? I think what's so great in the writing as well is that there's these cracks in things, and there's these moments where you might see through her, and then she's trying to cover it, and sometimes those things are quite funny, you know. Like, and the Liam Cunningham and Philip O'Sullivan in that pub, you know, with Sally in the middle, is also very funny, because depending on your perspective, if you don't know what's going on, you're just going about your daily drudgery, you know, like the barman is. And then Lauren Canny as Max, kind of really pushing the sexuality and really flirting with her teacher, and Sally's kind of trying to dodge it, you know. Like, that's not who I am, but oh, I really want to shag her, you know. Like, all that stuff is just, I think, really relatable and really kind of fun to play with. And again, it's always down to the team, but that kept things from feeling like, you know, oh, we're just going to put you through 22 minutes of hell, audience, you know, good luck with that, see you later. So that was
that's fantastic. And I mean, you talked there about that there's always a dichotomy, you know, when you're exploring something like, you know, something that is, you know, it's a heavy film. I mean, comedy is something that I think comedy and tragedy. I mean, there's this thing I've noticed. I've talked to comedy and horror directors about this. You know, comedy and horror and comedy and tragedy. If you have a fundamental understanding of comedy, you have a fundamental understanding of tragedy. You look at someone like Jim Carrey, who was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. He gave this beautiful performance, and everyone before that, he was like The Mask, Ace Ventura. And then even like Jordan Peele, someone who comes from comedy, he's now directing big blockbuster horror films. What is it about that dichotomy that appeals to you, Bo, as a director? That blend between comedy and, you know, these real dark situations. Was it just that you felt it helped kind of create a more succinct film that would be easier to digest, or what was it about, you know, mixing comedy with this serious topic that appealed to you?
I think Siobhan's got it in her bones, really, don't you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think when I was writing it, like I was getting through the script and I was like, oh Jesus, like I really need to put something in here to lighten it because it's just very traumatic.
Yeah.
So it really was as simple as that at times, you know. But I think what Polly managed to do so beautifully, she came in with this idea of bringing color into the film, and I know it's not the same as comedy, but it's a lightness to it that I think really enhanced the film in a way. So having even Sal in like a yellow dress for the whole thing, it has this kind of Alice in Wonderland feel. I'm really interested in magic realism, you know, which again is a kind of weird blend of taking something quite serious and putting it through a lens that looks almost childlike. And I think that can connect with an audience in a way because it speaks to the inner child. So when Polly came onto the film and she had these suggestions of what was the artist's name again? I always forget. The Guy Bourdain.
Guy Bourdain and Jürgen Teller.
Yeah. You know, these artists as inspirations, they just had this amazing vibrancy that added so much to the film because it could have just been dark. And I think that maybe even the comedy scenes mightn't have popped as much if we didn't have a sort of undertone of lightness throughout it, you know. So hats off to Polly on that suggestion.
It's just a love fest up in here. I mean, I think in my experience as well of like the tragedies and the horrors of the world, like the absurdity always comes in and reminds you that you're just a little human in a big silly world, you know. And it's like the only thing that's healing really is the light side of things, you know, in the tragedies. And again, it's something that's just universal. Like everybody laughs at falling over, especially if it's yourself.
Farts are always funny. Farts are never not funny.
Farts are always funny. I think if you take away anything from this film, it should be that.
Could you imagine if I just ripped ass right now? Could you give me a second?
I can see it.
Give me a second. I think I might lose all the millions of subscribers I have. But listen, necessary sacrifices and all that. But no, before we were talking about ripping ass, we were talking about something important. Now, obviously, you know, it's a tough line to walk, right? Because you don't want to, you know, you don't want it to look like you're taking the piss out of anything as serious as this. And like my favorite film ever made is In Bruges, which I'm sure you have seen.
Oh, so good.
Oh, probably one of easily the best. Like if it's the type of film you wish you came up with the idea for and made. I mean, you see, and the dichotomy of like, you know, heaven and hell, and you see these two characters who, it's like, what can we forgive? And I think that's something that's discussed in this as well. There's another film by Magnolia, called Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh, I love that film. Yeah.
Magnolia. In Bruges, Magnolia, my two favorites. But forgiveness is something that's obviously, I think, kind of you could associate with this film as well. It's a character who she's on some sort of redemption. In Bruges is a story of redemption. It's about this hitman who he killed a child, and we have to say to ourselves, can we forgive him? But you're with him for so long where at the end you're hoping he makes it away and you're hoping he gets away with it almost. And then in something like Magnolia, it's about all these characters going on a journey of forgiveness with each other. How important was forgiveness to you, Bo? How important is forgiveness as people? And then exploring this film, how did forgiveness affect you? Did you want to explore forgiveness in this film, or am I interpreting it the wrong way? What was that process?
I think it's really well put.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes down to it, we have already forgiven Sally, I think, as an audience by the time that Nola finds out what's been going on. And I think the most heartbreaking thing is that Nola can't forgive her. There's just so much confusion because the safety and the trust is gone because she wasn't who she said she was, you know. But at the end of the day, for Sally's habits to change, she's got to forgive herself, you know. That's the toughest. That's the toughest.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bang on
Yeah.
the money there. Siobhan, do you want to say anything or?
Oh, I was kind of just going to say, in terms of forgiveness in general, it's like, for me, it's not so much getting it and I'm sorry so that I can forgive someone, or vice versa. It's like an acknowledgement of what has been done wrong, you know? And I think that's what's so, just an acknowledgement can free someone so quickly, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it happens, but it doesn't happen in the right way in this film, you know. It's Nola reacting in the way that she does, and the relationship falling apart. I think the acknowledgement of who Sally is swept under the carpet by anger, and so it can never really be healed, you know, from that relationship, I think. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on forgiveness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Nola's main aim is to protect the child inside her as well. So
yeah,
you know, she's very focused inwards in a way, and there's no space there for the chaos, you know, that's reaping.
Which is fair.
And I think the film it's a practice in empathy, you know. I think there's a question posed in Magnolia, and it's like, well, that's just a difficult thing. What can we forgive? And it's the most, everyone, all 3 of us here would forgive different things. We wouldn't forgive different things. It's a universal thing. Everyone forgives different things. And it's a fascinating thing that I think you can explore that visually. And, you know, your 2 characters, what I really love, Pollyanna, this was fantastic direction. Yous are separated visually. There's like a glass screen presented towards the 3rd act. And this is the lowest moment for both these characters. Yous are both standing on opposite sides. And I just want to shout out, and I thought that was a really fantastic decision.
That's so cool. Because Siobhan had written it that way, with this door separating them.
Yeah.
But because of the options of shooting that we had to make sense geographically of where they lived, if we'd used the door that she was talking about in the script, we would have been back in the hallway where it was Killian's house.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was shot in this fabulous house in Dunleary, but we had to sort of chop it up into chunks, and they became different locations. So I had this idea, well, could we use the kitchen dining room area of the house and make it the glass between them instead of a door, so we could actually see both their reactions, but also we could have Nola walking out into a garden that mirrors the garden of Sal's youth, and the freedom and the growth in that Sal can't step over and cross over into. So we rehearsed it at our place, didn't we? Because Shiv and I lived together with another member of the cast, with Lauren Canny, who played Max. We got a house together for a year in order to make this happen. And we were rehearsing it there in the kitchen. Do you remember, Shiv? And we were doing push and pull with the door and everything. And that was a great little workout to figure out. That was
someone
cool
should have been filming the behind the scenes to that. That would have been fascinating. But I imagine in a house with each other for a year, did you just want to kill each other, or what was that process?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Was it Apocalypse Now? Like, were you like, Polly, were you Francis Ford Coppola? You were like, if you don't film this scene, I'm gonna kill myself. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill myself. Was that the process, or was it on the polar end of that?
We worked very closely together at the start of things with planning, you know, looks and stuff like that for the film. And then there was a point at which Siobhan had to break from her writer role. Like, I had notes and we'd had ideas and she'd been involved there. And then there was a point where we had to kind of break so that she could go off and be an actor and really get ready for this very challenging role. And so I could go off and make decisions involving, you know, schedule and crew and the various things that she didn't have to be involved in. Every, you know, what pre-production's like. There's just so many decisions to make and so many calls and Zooms to do. And so I think very smartly Shiv said, okay, well, at this point I'll move into actor mode and I'll break away from, you know, exec producer and writer. And I think that gave us both quite a bit of freedom. And then as we got closer to shooting, I was like, do you want to be living in the same house? Because you're going to have me telling you what to do all bloody day. You're going to be Sally going through all this stuff. You're going to have people all around you touching your face and your hair and your body.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be coming home and it's going to be me in the bathroom, you know, brushing my teeth. And I'm playing your girlfriend.
So my mom took care of me for a couple of days.
Yeah. She went to her mom's for a couple of days and then came back again.
Yeah.
They worked out, didn't it?
It worked out really well. And also we were shooting stuff in my mom's house as well. So it was a matter of finishing up on set and just going into the next room and going to bed, which was always lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the best moment for me was getting in that bed, one of the opening scenes of the film, and getting into the bed, and I was just to be quiet off on the side, and it was Shiv's scene.
I know.
And I was like, this is the comfiest thing in the whole wide world. Why don't I live with your man?
This is why I chose directing. You had a cigar in your mouth.
No, big cigar in
they
bed.
don't smoke cigars enough. I was talking about this, and then it's like, oh, you can't smoke, lung cancer and all this. But like, no, John Ford looked so cool, and he had an eye patch as well. That was so sick, man. I'd sacrifice it. I mean, if you got a behind the scenes shot of me filming a Western, that's worth getting sick in a few years down the line. I mean, like, yeah, take what you can get, you know, in for a penny, out for a dime. But no, this is a very vulnerable film, right? I mean, I just went from talking about cigarettes and eye patches to this, but it's a very vulnerable film. What was it like for the two of you to create something like this? And next week at Galway Film Fleadh, you'll be screening it. What is that process? Does it ever get easier for you guys to see yourselves on screen? Are you guys kind of terrified by the notion, or because it is such a vulnerable film, is this different than your other works?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely. I don't think I was expecting it to be as kind of taxing as it was, you know, until you're doing it. And it really was only on like day 3 or something, because she's so tense in every scene, so obviously that builds up in your body as well, you know, just like your body thinks it's happening even though your mind knows it's not. So at some point, I think it was day 3, I kind of had a bit of a wobbler. We'd done a lot of scenes that day, and all of them were really different. Like, you know, it was one real traumatic scene and one kind of everything's okay scene, and your brain is jumping into these different spaces.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I just felt like a crazy person, you know. I was like, I can't deal with this. So we were really lucky. We had an intimacy coordinator who was at the end of the phone if we needed to contact her, to just kind of talk you down and like bring you back into yourself. So yeah, I'd say it was challenging it was vulnerable and it was challenging, but there was also a lot of crack, and I always felt very safe and looked after doing it. And I think that was like a massive priority for Polly, that everyone felt that way, not just me, because there's a lot of traumatic and triggering events that happen in it, so you don't know who on set is dealing with something and how that works, you know. So I think that the love and care that was given made it a lot easier to get through it. Yeah.
Nice. And what do you think about seeing yourself on screen, Shiv, at Galway with a sold out cinema in the town hall?
I still haven't gotten used to seeing myself on screen, to answer that question. I find it tricky enough. I mean, because you're always watching something going, oh, I wish I'd done that there, or, you know, I remember thinking this thing at that moment, and like I wish I'd been thinking that thing or whatever, you know. And I've been so kind of involved in the edit. I'd seen so many versions of it up until the finalized version. So I had a lot of time with the film, and at some point kind of had to accept my performance in it and the film as a whole and what it was. And as soon as I was able to do that, I felt really good about it and really proud of it. And I mean, I'd felt like that anyway, but it's always strange seeing something for the first time, especially when it's come out of your own mind, and it's bizarre.
Yeah, you're like on a toilet taking your pants off and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Also really strange to see, you know, my home that I grew up in be like 4 or 5 different locations throughout the film, you know. And then
was that the house you grew up in?
It's the one I'm sitting in right now. Yeah.
Oh, not bad. So you're literally in a filming location.
Yeah.
You should cut down chunks of the wall and sell them at Galway. Just pick up your rug and cut it up into little like square meters. Man. No, that's amazing. Yeah, Galway Film Fleadh next week. I'm looking forward to the screening. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. How excited are you guys for Galway Film Fleadh? Siobhan, it's your first time. Pollyanna, is it your first time at Galway?
It's not actually. I think it's my 4th or 5th, because I had a film called Love Eternal, an Irish movie I did years ago that was there. That was great, a great welcome for that film, and lovely, lovely people. And then I was there pitching one time when I was pitching a script of mine. And then I went last year, I think just for the crack, wasn't it? I think it was just for fun.
Pints, was it?
Pints.
I'm growing out the mustache to trick your bartender.
I'm working on it too.
One Heineken, please. I'll have a Heineken when you're ready, pal.
very good, very natural.
There you go. I've been working on it. Oh, bro, wait till you see me. I'm prepared. I have a suit and all. I'm ready for this.
Got to start smoking now, so you look old.
Oh, I can't wait. You'll get me the cigars.
I will. I'm actually going to smoke a cigarette like a cheeky. I never do this when I'm being filmed, but whatever. So yeah. So this year I've got 3 things in, because we've got Quicksand, which I think is, the biggest one for me, certainly, where my heart's at and where I really feel the most responsible for the film, But then I've got 2 other movies, one called Double Blind, which is a sci-fi.
Yeah, I'll be at the screening
thriller
for that as well. I can't wait.
Yeah,
Ian Hunt Duffy.
yeah, he's done a great job. It's very, very beautifully made. Great cast, and it's just a good edge of your seat one.
Yeah.
And then I play a doctor in that, and I've got some kind of horror stuff to do in that, which is fun. And then the other one is Apocalypse Clown, which is a completely ridiculous Irish comedy about a troupe of clowns during the apocalypse. And have you seen the trailer for that or anything?
Yeah, I've seen it looks fantastic. Yeah. Looks like a mad owl film.
It was great crack, great cast, and George Kane, who's done a lot of comedy, very a confident director. And so I get to play a weirdo in that as well. So I was working with Tony Cantwell mostly, who I just loved. This really funny guy. So yeah, it's going to be really fun to see. Double Blind I've seen, obviously Quicksand I've seen. I haven't seen Apocalypse Clown yet. And there's just going to be loads of friends and family down there, like film family,
Yeah.
So I can't wait. And pints at the boat club.
There you go. A few Heinekens for Daniel. Don't forget to fit that in there. Siobhan, what about you? Are you looking forward to it? Your first time at Galway?
I can't wait. I'm heading down tomorrow. And I'm there until, I guess, I'm not sure. Is there... It goes on all day on Sunday as well, right? So
it goes on all day on Sunday, and the awards are on Sunday. Yeah, and we've got a little party for Quicksand on the Saturday afternoon. Exactly. We'll be down at Caribou, so come down. We'll be down at Caribou from 1 till 4 with Quicksand. Yeah, just invited everybody.
Oh, sounds amazing. I hope you enjoy it, man. It looks like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic time.
We will. The only person we miss is this guy.
There you go. You're bringing him up to Galway. Defo let him into the screening.
Daddy.
He's too shy. He's too shy.
They'll definitely let him into the screening. You should bring him up to Galway.
Yeah, he'll be quiet as a mouse.
Oh yeah, Sammy would love that.
I'll be screaming in the middle of the cinema anyway. And I interviewed them too. Me and Besh, mate. I interviewed them, and then I'll have a big sign link to my YouTube channel on it. So there you go. Now, amazing. Before we finish up, my last and final question for you guys is: why should people go check out Quicksand?
Do you want to go? Should I go?
Go on, Polly.
I think people should go check out Quicksand, because I think they'll be surprised.
Yeah.
And I think that it takes you on a journey where you don't know what's going to happen. And it's quite a visceral film. Like, I think you feel it, hopefully, in many ways, So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, when we were trying to come up with the kind of log line for it, or like what we put in the program, we're like, oh, if we say that, is that giving a spoiler away? And we're like, no, because then there's the next twist. And then we realized that the whole thing is just kind of twist after twist after twist after twist, and we're like, okay, we can give away one twist and just add it. So yeah, they'll be surprised, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Everyone, I can absolutely recommend this film. It's absolutely fantastic. Liam Cunningham's a cranky old bartender in it. That's great. Get him in it. Man, I interviewed him at the IFTAs. He is such a sound fella. But no, it's not for everyone. I cannot recommend it enough. Absolutely go check it out. Are you guys on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere people can go follow you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Pollyanna MacIntosh, and on Twitter as Polly A MacIntosh, and on Facebook too. And Shiv is everywhere as well.
I'm actually only on Instagram. I'm Siobhan of Callaghan. And then there's the Quicksand short film Instagram page as well. So if you go into that, you can also find both of us through that, and the producers and other people who are involved, they're all kind of attached to the page. So,
and you can see the trailer as well. That's Quicksand short film on Instagram.
Cool. There'll be a link for that in the description if I can find it. Any new projects people can go check out Quicksand this Saturday? I think the screening sold out, isn't it?
It is sold out, and then we're going to be at the Boyne Valley Film Festival as well in mid-August.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So anywhere people can go check and film, is it just the festival circuit right now?
At the moment, yeah, we're hoping to get a sale going on for it.
Yeah.
But festival audiences are a good place to start. And I think the final destination for this project is probably in a TV series where you'd really get to explore the characters more. And that's something that Shiv's already got planned out in her head. She's got an 8-episode arc of this character and the world. So
amazing.
yeah.
So this is
Coming to
something
the
that
small screen.
you would want to pursue a TV show with the same characters in the same world.
Oh, definitely.
Terrific. Amazing. That's my scoop. That's my scoop. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you a little bit off air. Before we finish up, everyone, you can go follow me over on Instagram or Twitter, just DanielFee33. As always, if you have the means, please make sure to donate to the National Deaf Children's Society. The link for that in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go check out the Galway Film Fleadh. There'll be a link for that in the description. You can follow them on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. There'll be a link for Galway Film Fleadh. It's this week. You should go check it out. There'll be some fantastic screenings. I also want to shout out First Bite Event Film Catering, run by my friend Heather Higgins-Mackey. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go watch Quicksand as soon as you can. I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.